It's Jonna from Heritage Creations Cut Flowers, and look at this wild garden. We have been away for almost a week, and the garden has been by itself for almost a week. Yesterday I did get out here and I weeded this row. This row has kind of been weeded, but it's a little bit crazy these days. I'm getting ready to harvest some flowers. There's a ton that needs to be harvested, a ton that needs to be cut down, a lot that needs to be done. But so far it's been a really good season for us. This spring we have also been selling some market bouquets to a local market around here, 12 bouquets a week. We did that before we left this week, so on Tuesday before we left I sold 12 bouquets to them. And then I did sell some flowers to Colleen, another florist that I sell to. So I did do that before I left. We had put out that the stand wouldn't be open this week, well, this past week. And so the week before, Saturday and Sunday, the week before we left, we did have a sellout that week, so that was perfect. And now I have a lot to do, but perfectly fine, because we had a great little vacation with the family, and sometimes you just have to do that and let things bloom out. So that's what we did. But look how crazy that is. And yes, it is Japanese beetle season. Saw a few before we left, and they've been having fun while we've been gone. So show you, take a little tour around the garden, and then I've got to get to harvesting. But here we are, back at it. This is my direct seeded row, and this is more for fall. I'm trying this plant right here. Instead of basil, I'm trying this is shizu. I think that's how you pronounce it. Learned that from Dirt on Flowers. I've never grown this before, so we'll try that. Amaranth, the little patch of amaranth, hot biscuits. Last year, it got eaten by the armyworms. I never got to use it. We'll see about this year. This is the white swan marigolds. I got a lot eaten right here, so I replanted some more. These are my cosmos. And then sunflowers. Over here, these are direct seeded zinnias, and then sunflowers, and then I've got some status right there. I've had to do a lot of direct seeding this year, and it's worked out pretty well so far. The reason being, my seed starting station is in the workshop. The workshop is being used kind of as a cooler, and I say kind of because this is our rogue sunflower growing here. And look, I actually really like this sunflower. Look how pretty it is. I wish I could cut these. I like the little shaggy blooms on it. Anyway, back to the cooler situation. We're keeping the workshop at about 60, 65, which is perfect for zinnias and that kind of thing. But that's where my seed starting station is, so I haven't been able to start seeds. So I have been experimenting, because I had to, with just starting everything out here. Now, it's worked out well, except, you know, the slugs and the snails kind of get to things when they first pop up if I don't get my sluggo out, like that little patch over there. So that's the only thing. And I have to cover with netting. Like, I started these sunflowers before I left, and look, they've popped up. I need to get some sluggo down. I have to cover with netting because of the squirrels and the rabbits. They eat them till they get a certain size, and then usually I can take the netting off once. Like this netting we had to take off because these are starting to hit the top. Once that happens, then typically they leave them alone. So I'm probably going to have to cover from here. I don't know what I'm going to do actually over here, because this still worries me as to this is going to get eaten and dug up by the squirrels, the smaller stuff, and eaten by the bunnies. All right, so this is the salmon, Oklahoma salmon, zinnias. These I started in plug trays. These were not direct seeded. And the lemon basil, this is the direct seeded. So I'll be able to tell. And this is all, see the Japanese beetle there? Yeah, that's all the Japanese beetle damage. Mahogany Splendor, some more marigolds, celosia, bee balm. These, oh, I want to show you this. These are the Johnny's, these are Johnny's ballerina zinnias. Look at those. I really like them. I haven't had too much disease problems with them. They really have mostly bloomed double and really held up well. I mean, like here's a single. There's a couple singles. But I have really liked Johnny's ballerina. It was a new seed for them this year, and I really like them. This was a rogue Ami that grew here, and we had a storm last night that fell over. This is another succession of zinnias, and you see how the Japanese beetles are eating that up. This is Benary's Giant, I think. Have to look down there, but they're definitely getting eaten. Been trying to come out here with my cup of soapy water. See if I can get by here. Some of them do turn out like that, or I can't remember if it's a different seed. And see, I have to go through and cut. Here are my cosmos, lots of cutting going on in here. And then the white swan, which, yep, Japanese beetles love those as well. And then these are Benary's Giant with a few of these thrown in as well. And then some sunflowers. These are all celosia since I got past that. So that's the upper garden. Everything is looking great, just wild and crazy, and lots of cutting and Japanese beetle picking going on around here. See, that was really, I think, just from last night. I just go through, especially in the morning and at night, and just try to catch them. They're not flying around as much, and I try and like pop them into the soapy water, and they just stay there and die. And I have found that I've had a slight decrease in my Japanese beetles when I do that. So, because you know the Japanese beetles will mate and they get into the soil and they start their grub cycle, and then they come out every year. So I feel like, I don't know, could be wrong, but I feel like the more I can get and kill, the less grubs I'll have and the less that'll come up the next year. That's just my thought. But I take great pleasure in killing Japanese beetles. So here we are. This is the upper garden in the middle of June. We're going to head down to the lower garden, but let me just give you a glimpse. Here is the pollinator area that I started. You know, we've got some tall verbena coming up and the sunflowers, that kind of thing showing. Down there we've got some yarrow. And then here are some of the dahlias, along with, I do have some milkweed starting to flower. This is actually one of my favorite dahlias that I started from seed. Look at the inside of that. I love it. And so do the bees. So we have that going on. All right, lower garden. The feverfew has given it up. Obviously I cut a lot And then this was kind of the last bit of it. We cut a lot before we left, and then all of this has just kind of, you know, gone by the wayside. Short snapdragons that need to be cut. This is some dianthus that was left over here. Short status, never got tall enough, but I have cut a lot off of this just regular Scabiosa. And then this was some sunflowers. There's another succession of sunflowers, and then some direct seeded marigolds. And then these are the pink Oklahoma. They haven't gotten as tall as the ones in the upper garden. Again, the whole soil issue, so we'll fix that after we rip all this out. But I mean, some of these are usable stems, so it's just staying in. This is the cinnamon basil. I don't know if I'll get anything to use out of that. And I have gotten some usable stems out of this ageratum. All of these new rows right here that had, if you've seen my past videos, we brought in soil for this whole area right here. For these rows, we brought in soil, and everything, not everything, a lot of things that have been growing in here have all just grown short. Not the sunflowers, not the feverfew. That's pretty much been about it. The marigolds might be okay. Anyway, so I haven't gotten a lot of usable stuff off of this, so we're going to have to amend this soil, test it and all the things, and figure it out. And this is a fall project. So there's that. Over here, we've got some heirloom mums looking great. We just cut down some Ami, and look at the Lisianthus coming on strong over here. So I'm super excited about that. This is all of my scoop scabby. I mean, this is going to take me days. Not really, but whew, got to go through that, cut that. Yarrow needs to be cut down, but we've gotten a lot out of the yarrow, just like this yarrow right here. What we did with our Peter Cottontail yarrow is we cut that all the way down, and we're going to get a second succession out of that. This is dill and peppers, and as you can see, tomatoes. So that is my veggie row right there. All right, here is my echinacea. It is looking really nice. I'm starting to get some taller stems out of it. It all started short. So like down here, I'll probably get some taller stems. This is all my Baptisia, and it's all looking great. The bunnies ate it when I put it in the fall. Then it all came back and it's looked great, but it has not bloomed this year. If anybody can tell me about that, like, does it not bloom the first year? Is something wrong? The foliage looks great. It all looks great. Did it not bloom because the bunnies ate it back? Suggestions, information. Somebody tell me all the things about my Baptisia, what's going on. Like to know. Then, of course, my eucalyptus. The bigger ones are the ones that overwintered, and then I have some that I planted out this year, and those are cucumbers. Dahlias, I have new dahlia tubers popping up here. Overwintered dahlia tubers down there. That's all looking good. Geum, these are all perennials from here on out. Geum just planted out this year, so it's just growing. Mountain mint, probably could get some stems off of that now. And then some lupin and some more eucalyptus. This is going to be a second flush of my phlox, and then some more echinacea, and I'll be able to cut that dianthus right there, and then lady's mantle over there. So yeah, that's about it. This is the lower garden. I'm trying not to make anybody dizzy. It's just this section of the lower garden, and this was the new section. And you know what? I'm never bringing in compost again. You can't trust it. I didn't test it. I really didn't have time to test it. We researched and read and all the things, but they can just give you whatever. And so now I have to test it. But typically we've gotten all of our dirt either from ourselves or down the street, my neighbor. Most everything I'm growing is what I've gotten from her. She has a horse farm and she's had it here for as long as we've been living here. And she just has piles of manure that she just has put back in her woods, and it's been sitting there for years. And that's usually what we get our dirt from. But we just decided it would be easier to get a dump truck and dump it here and put it out here instead of us shoveling. Anyway, you know the deal. So now, nope, always coming from her or us. And this has to be amended. So might look like there's a lot of blooms, but not much can come from this particular area. But luckily we had enough planted other places that I've been able to make 20 plus bouquets for the stand, plus the 12 I've needed each week for the market that I've been selling at. And then I've been doing some vase arrangements for people. So it's all been good. I've had plenty, so I cannot complain. This year has been going really well. I'm super excited about it. It's our third year, and again, we've been selling more bouquets out of the farm stand than we have in the past. Typically, it was 12 to 15 each weekend, and my goal this year was to get to 20 a weekend. Not every weekend's been 20. Some weekends have been more like 15, but most weekends have been 20. Some have been above 20, so that's super exciting. And then people have reached out, and I've done some bouquets for baby showers and that kind of thing. And then I've done some extra bouquets during the week. Each week I've been doing 12 bouquets at Stiegel Produce Market. She just outright pays me for the 12. She pays me 15, and then she resells them for 20. I am perfectly fine with that. I think that's a great deal for me and a great deal for her. So I'm so excited about that. And that's just, you know, that's a sure bet. She pays me, and I do take them there to her, but it's just a few minutes down the road. It's not very far. So I don't mind taking them there at all. And then I have gotten some business. She lets me put my cards on there and everything, and I have gotten some business at the stand from people who've gotten them at the market. So that's awesome. And then I have a friend who I'm partnering with who is a potter, and she does beautiful ceramics. And so I have put some of her ceramics, and then I put flowers in them at the stand and sell them at the stand. And we've also put out that you can just pick your ceramics, order them with the flowers in them, and then pick them up at the stand. So we've done a little bit of that. So we're trying to sell her ceramics with my flowers. So we've got a couple different things going on this year with the flowers, and I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. It's really picked up. We've got a cooler back here in this building. Bob's still working on the cooler. We haven't gotten that totally squared away, meaning it's in the works, but it's not finished. So working on that business. So right now the workshop is the cooler, and let's get harvesting. I got to get this done.